body important, and I will be explaining what is sexual self. But first, let me ask you a question. What is your sexual self? Do you know the three reasons why individual sex is important in human development? Well, let me and my groupmates help you to know more about your sexual self. What is sexual self?
The sexual self concept is the cognitive perspective on sexual aspect. Self refers to the view of a person as being a sexual creature. It is the predictor of the sexual result, and it includes interpersonal and interpersonal features involved alongside changes in sexual growth experience.
The three reasons why individual sex is important in human development.
One reason is that each children came under increasing cultural pressures from parents, teachers, peer groups, and society at large to develop attitudes and behavior patterns that are considered appropriate for members of their sex. Another reason is learning experiences are determined by the individual sex. In the home, at school, and in playgroups, children learn what is considered appropriate for members of their sex. The last reason is the attitude of parents and other significant family members towards individuals because of their sex. A strong preference for a child of a giving sex have marked influence on parents' attitude affecting relationship with the child. Freud believed that every child goes through a sequence of developmental stages and that the child's experiences during these stages determine adult personality characteristics. Each stage has erogenous zone association with stimulation and pleasure. These stages is oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. In oral stage, infant achieves gratification through oral activities such as feeding, thumb sucking, and babbling. In anal stage, the child learns to respond to some of the demands of society, such as bowel and bladder control. In phallic stage, the child learns to realize the difference between males and females and become aware of sexuality. In latency stage, the child continues his or her development, but sexual urges are relatively quiet. The last stage is the genital stage. The growing adolescent shakes off old independencies and learns to deal maturely with opposite sex.
A pleasant day, everyone. My name is Francis Wayne Piraquiza, and I will be reporting the human reproductive system and the human sexual response cycle. Human reproductive system. Sex, however, is not just for reproduction, not in humans. That may be its primary biological mandate, but it serves other purposes as well. It helps to strengthen relationships, encourages a man to stick around to care for his child. So there are two human reproductive systems, the female reproductive system and the male reproductive system. Female reproductive system, the ovaries produces 400,000 eggs or so every 28 days. The egg cells carries X chromosomes. And in puberty in girls usually starts between the ages 8 to 13 along with all the bodily changes such as the breast, hair, skin, hips, and voice. It is also where menarche, it comes from the Greek word moon and beginning, a first menstrual period would seal the growth spurt and signal women's sexual maturity. And in male reproductive system, it carries the X and Y chromosomes. And in boys, puberty starts around 10 to 15 years old and explains why some girls look more mature than boys. Besides the physical changes, his brain also changes. Unlike women varying monthly to create menstrual cycles, the hormones in men's brains are constantly active. May be a reason why men are said to think about sex more than women. Sexual response cycle. They use the term sexual response cycle to describe the changes that occur in the body as men and women become sexually aroused. William Masters and Virginia Johnson divided the sexual response cycles into four phases: excitement, desire, arousal phase, plateau phase, orgasm phase, and the resolution phase. Excitement or desire phase. It is the beginning of the sexual arousal. It is more of a psychological than a physical. and its sexual urges occur in response to sexual cues or fantasies, which will eventually followed by the physical changes in the body when you enter the arousal stage. It is the subjective sense of sexual pleasure and psychological signs of sexual arousal. Next is the pleasure phase. It is the period of the sexual excitement prior to orgasm. Next is the orgasm phase. Orgasm phase, it is the climax of the sexual response cycle and is the shortest of the phases and generally lasts for a few seconds. The last is the resolution phase. Resolution phase, this is where the body functions slowly return to a normal level of functioning and swelled and erected body parts return to their previous states and color.
5 cycles of sexuality, a holistic model of sexuality that encompasses all aspects of being and is influenced by the individual, family, culture, and spirituality.
Cycles of sexuality. First, sensuality. Use of the senses to experience physical and psychological pleasure. Second, intimacy. The exchange of emotional closeness between people. Third, sexual identity. Who we are as sexual beings and how we label ourselves and our desires. Fourth, sexual health and reproduction. Attitudes and behaviors related to the sexual and reproductive systems. Lastly, sexualization, the use of sexuality to influence, control, and manipulate others.
Good day everyone, my name is Lolina T. Lagrama. Today I will be discussing diversity of human sexuality. There are societal expectations regarding gender rules that are not based on biological differences. Young adolescents face pressure to conform to this expectation, impacting their choices and relationship, leisure activities, education, and career path. Gender bias involves holding stereotypical beliefs about individuals based on their gender. Examples include thinking women are less intelligent, men are incapable without women's help, or women cannot be analytical. These biases are often held without critical thinking. How do we people know if they are lesbian, gay, or bisexual? According to science and experts, people usually start feeling attracted to others of the same or different gender during middle childhood and early adolescence. Fortunately, prejudice and discrimination make it difficult for many individuals to fully accept their identity, which makes claiming a lesbian, gay, or bisexual identity a slow process for some. What is sexual orientation? Sexual orientation is all about who you are attracted to romantically, emotionally, and or sexually. This can be towards men, women, or both genders. What about sexual orientation and coming out during adolescence? Many lesbian, gay, and bisexual youths experience no greater level of health or mental health risk than those who identify as heterosexuals. Problems arise when this individual face bias and discrimination with their environment. Support from important people such as family members can provide a helpful counterpart against bias and discrimination faced by LGBTQ teens during adolescence development, allowing them to live satisfying, healthy lives while moving through the usual process of adolescence development.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jan Errol M. De La Serna, and I'm going to discuss to you the sexual health as sexually transmitted disease and infections.
According to the current working definition, sexual health is the state of physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being in relation to sexuality. It is not merely the absence of disease, dysfunction, or infirmity. Sexual intercourse is one of the most common behavior among humans. Sexual intercourse is a behavior that may produce sexual pleasure that often culminates in orgasm in females and in males. Premarital sex. Premarital sex is a sexual activity practiced by people who are unmarried. It can be any sexual relations a person has prior to marriage. So how do people get AIDS? As I said earlier, this disease can also transfer through sexual intercourse. This can also get from abuse of drugs like sharing of needles and use of unsterilized bleeds, or through bodily fluid. So one of the example of STI or the sexual transmitted infections is the HIV. HIV or human immunodeficiency virus is a virus that causes AIDS, and it is preventable and manageable but not curable. AIDS-acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Since this is a syndrome, these are several manifestations of the breakdown in body's immune system and have developed in people who have been infected by HIV.
To prevent teenage pregnancy and promote sexual health among adolescents, sex education programs are essentials. These programs should cover topics such as contraception, STI prevention, consent, healthy relationships, and communication skills. Including contraceptive counseling and methods are crucial.